If you guys could have seen the look on my wife's face when she woke up from a dead sleep to hear every smoke alarm going off in the house because my new smoke machine from Whiskey and the Surfer was on fucking 11 and it's vapor, right? It's not smoke. It's not like this incense is not going to kick off the whatever the fucks. But there I am praying to God that the table and chairs that I can afford will hold my weight as I take those one 9-volt battery after another out of the smoke detectors here, and then just have to go and put them back in. Yeah, sure, I could not use the smoke machine, but why the fuck else would you do a podcast unless you could have fucking lights and pyro? And if you don't think the next studio is not going to have full on fucking extinguisher effects and the spinning sparklers like the end of fucking a Kiss show, yeah, probably with some confetti cannons. Why not? Why not? You only live once, don't we? Here in the multiverse, here in the simulation, here in the opportunity that life gives us in the here and now, let's take it to simplicity. And I apologize, those of you who have complexity bias, who can only see truth in a matter of complexity. Well, the thing is that your complexity can't exist unless our simplicity exists. So we're going to have a conversation. Sometimes you're going to hear things repeated. In the same way that you hear news stories repeated ad nauseum, depending on whatever bent of the news you choose to get it in, as they play their packages on loops and they have their 4 a.m., 5 a.m. talking points and you repeat those. I don't listen. I don't watch. I watch writers on Twitter on both sides publish pieces and I read those. I get the highlight reels. I am watching people who look like they're legitimately in trouble for crimes against the state getting older in the face as the days tick by. And so again, for those of you who are new here, some of these things are going to be repeated. I'm going to say things again for the first time because this might be the first time that you've tuned in because you're like, what the fuck is going on in this country right now? And I'll tell you, the same America that we've always been, the greatest country, the brightest light shining on the hill, truth, justice, and the American way. Your freedom of speech, your right to defend yourself, your stoppage of illegal searches and seizures, including can I see your paperwork? I have to prove that you're somehow legally allowed to stand next to somebody at a park or in a golf cart or sharing a sidewalk. Or why are you asking me for my information without a warrant? And who decided that was a good idea? Do I post up memes on my Facebook page just to fuck with nerds? All day. All day. Is it fun for me? Of course. Why else would I do it? Not everything is what it seems. Not everything you're going to learn in the path of your greatness is going to become something that's said. It's a lot of things that are unsaid. It's a lot of truth that you experience around you in as much as God's voice speaking to you through your heart center is as real as the reality that you encounter. And how do you encounter it? Confidently, freaked out, going based on whatever fucking Judge Jake Tapper's talking about. You're on that one. You hate Trey Gowdy, now you love him. You like Michael Savage, Rush Limbaugh's your dude. Hannity fucking repeats himself a million times. Do we like Trey Gowdy? What did Tucker Carlson have to say about it? What did Laura Ingraham have to say about it? Why do people still love to hate Ann Coulter? Why are all of these human beings put up in the forefront in front of us to look at as other human beings to find a human-based salvation for humanity when we already know that there's a God-centered salvation for all of us? And that if you're living inside of that simple fact and reality, then you know that things are broken down into two sections. They are products of creation, me and you, the animals around us, and the angels that surround us, seen and unseen. And everything else is a consequence of creation. And so we have people who are, humanistic and, look, if you want to get to the end game, okay, and how you would subvert the United States of America. Well, first of all, you have to take the God out of under God. And you do that by not having folks go to church and congregate with each other and discuss their faith. That's one of the ways that it starts. Use identitarian politics to remove words from people's lexicon of word choices. Because you no longer have the freedom of speech. You have the freedom of speech that you are allowed by the people who hate America. And it's simply put as that. There's God, and there are all things that are not. There is your singular focus on being grateful, on being able to receive Christ's love and give. Remember, you have to give before you get. That's the order of operations. You have to listen before you're spoken to. You have to listen before you speak. And in the beginning was silence, and then there was sound. In the beginning was zero, and then there was one. In the beginning was the Word, which means that the ending already came along with the beginning. And what we're being infiltrated with is the idea that in the beginning was someone's opinion of the Word. Disorder. In the same way we have a mathematical order and it's accepted around the world, we have our words that we create up using our Arabic lettering here in our ability to speak English. Our infiltrators, again, have a character and a symbol-based language. Some characters that have meant the same thing for 7,000 years. And some things get new meanings because the Communist Party determines that. How do you get rid of God in the world, but to have a language that supersedes all other languages, where the definitions are brought on by the state? And that's the only operating system of reality you're allowed to choose from because that's the only one that's left. That's the plan of what it means for someone to infiltrate this country and get us to give away our freedom of speech and our right to defend ourselves. Even before the bullshit of Russiagate, does the United States have enemies? Does the United States have countries who interfere with our elections? Do we interfere with other elections? Is that just something that has gone on? What country was not being talked about? Well, one side of the aisle screamed Russia, Russia, Russia for 3 years. The same people who sold you global warming, the same people who covered for the setting up of Michael Flynn, who covered up from the 702 abuse, which is the illegal unmasking and spying of an American citizen without cause, without a warrant, with FISA documents that were illegally put together with no Woods files and every single omission of error and mistake that only went one way somehow. Okay, well, and how high does it go up? And who knew what? And who knew when? Remember, Donald Trump just survived a 3.5-year assassination of his character, an assassination attempt against his family. I can guarantee you that he is holding knowledge of at least a half a dozen different actual assassination attempts on his life and people who had put plans together, both people on his side, seemingly on his side, and against this country. And he's holding all of that. And he survived the sham impeachment. He's going to survive COVID. He's going to survive the fake news. And then what happens to the vanquished king that now sits upon the throne? He has two ways to act. He can act as the best America for the best America, being the most American in his decisions, or if he wants to go full tilt revenge, it's his right. If you believe this country has enemies, and I hope and I pray in my gut, remember, keep things in order. Faith, family, work. Pray, hope, don't worry. So even from that standpoint, I pray that you would keep America first, that you would keep American values first, that you would preserve the rule of law. And if we did find out that a certain group of people set up a sitting general, well, then what happens when that sitting general knows that he's being set up? He might sit in the room and say 3 times looking out the window, "What a beautiful black sky," knowing that his phone call is being recorded with Kislyak, knowing that not only is there a recording of his phone call with Kislyak, there's a transcript of his phone call with Kislyak, and he'll be able to put the transcript up to the words that he used as he had a normal conversation. And he walks into that meeting and he knows full well that he's going to be set up, because that's how far ahead of this they were. That's how for sure they were that there was an infiltration plot against this country. And if I'm reading this as correctly as I believe the evidence shows, that his now recent exoneration shows the fact that there was a conspiracy of people working together to set him up, either to lie. Do we get him to lie, to fire? Whatever that was said on that handwritten note, I would love to know whose handwriting that is. And I can guarantee there are some other documents around that White House that match that handwriting. And what were the notes of that meeting that they had in the White House with Rice, Clapper, Comey, Brennan, Joe Biden, and Barack Obama as they sat together and put together this plot to set up General Flynn? And what does General Flynn do knowing that that has been set up against him? He goes in there and he speaks the truth. And he knows that he didn't do anything wrong in the Kislyak phone call. That only somebody in heaven, how exactly did we know what the process is of listening to a phone call and making a transcript and people giving notes? Should the transcript should be changed? Should it say this? Did the regular channel people believe this, but the irregular channel people believe this? Well, would anybody be surprised that Alexander Vindman had anything to do with the editing of the transcript of the Flynn phone call? And now you have the proof that part of the transcript was seen by somebody and sent off into the mainstream media to be brought out as a story, to use the story as the reason to go talk to him. And now here we go. You create the narrative. We all step into it believing it, and that's the new narrative that we believe in. In the same way, they use this 2-week period of you may be sick, but you might not be sick, but you might be getting somebody sick. But, you know, if you want to choose to be fearfully almost dead or choose to be fully alive, that's up to you. And the fearful monkey mind folks that are freaked out by all of this and have been freaked off of center from the last 4 years went along with the rallying cry of the herd that has yet to be right one time in 3.5 years. But here they are now demanding that you step away from your freedom and embrace their fear of reality so that your confidence in embracing their fear of reality makes them feel better. What do you do when you have absolute knowledge? The same people selling every hoax that we've been talked about, the same people that were working to take work away from, I've experienced it. You just watch them. Again, it's the reason that I put stuff online. I trap idiots. If I show you a meme that has illegal searches and seizures relating information now to what was done in Nazi Germany, that they're asking for people's papers, and you respond by what people were wearing and how you don't think the pictures line up with the narrative, okay. That tells me where you're at stop and frisk. That's not somebody I trust. That's not the America that I'm not living in. You're that over there working for America. That's not mine. Good luck. I know who you're in bed with, and I know what they've been pushing. And we know now the methods that have been used in order to encroach. And it's all going to come out. Remember the Paradise Papers came out? The Panama Papers came out, and it showed how money illegally went around this world in money laundering operations through shell corps. In the same way we had an OJ trial that taught us about forensic evidence, we're going to have this new OJ trial, probably with some treason added onto it. Is it going to go all the way to the top like the evidence shows that it can? I don't know. Do we really have enemies at the gate trying to infiltrate and subvert this country? Hopefully, we're doing everything about it to stop it so it never happens again. And if that's not fully happening, then it's going to be impossible to hide the people complicit then in the selling of this country out from under us. Again, when all of this went crazy, as a person of faith, you go, okay, well, I'm still here in the here and now. I still have my health. I still have my wits about me. I still have a loving relationship with my friends and family. I still wake up, passionately love to work here. Whether if it's stand-up or music or sitting on the internet or talking into this webcam, whatever it is, you're passionately engaged in it. And I pray that everyone else is as passionately engaged in their lives. So much so you'd be so busy that maybe there'd be a great reason to miss all of these further stories from the one side that only sells one story. And then you won't go down the rabbit holes of division that are set up where now somebody has a Trump death clock website and you ask them questions like, yeah, but did they die with COVID or from COVID? They won't answer the question. They just need that death number to be pretty high. We saw the pneumonia and the flu numbers were much higher in 2018, but we didn't shut down the economy over it. We weren't wearing masks over it. So maybe it is time to see this like the quote-unquote event that it was. 9/11 gave us the Patriot Act, and you take off your shoes and 2.3 ounces of fucking whatever the fuck, because that guy tried to light his feet on fire on that one plane once. We haven't made that any easier, unless you spend money for the global entry program and give your fingerprint and everything else, and for $80 a year, we'll let you forego the monkeying around we have you do before we put you through the same x-ray. So here's a flu that you either believe or does not believe. You have a 2-week period where fucking they don't know what's happening and you don't either, and they can't prove it. But if you say something about it, it's fucking heresy. So please accept our temperature gauges everywhere we tell you. We demand that you wear a mask. We're going to wrap it up in the morality. We're going to wrap it up on anti-American sentiment. And if you don't comply, that you're a less than, because somehow we've turned into, opting into a facial cover as a new virtue signal. But that's all that it is. And at some point, either your uncomfortability or the temperature or your lack of fear that you're going to be sick or get somebody else sick in this is going to get you to take off your mask. You're going to do so in a confident way. We're not going to doubt you. So why are you doubting us now? If we're not going to doubt you then, then why are you doubting us now? And the next time they try to lock in the whole country again, they're going to go, nah. The next time they have COVID-20 and they demand a world vaccine, nah. Demand world testing, nah. At some point you're going to go, why do these diseases keep increasing and keep changing and keep showing up? How is that happening? Who's behind that business? Is it the same people who are behind the human body business? The average human body is worth somewhere between $250,000 and $1.5 million parted out, dead or alive. And there are people who are involved in those businesses all over the world. And we know who they are and nothing's being done about it. And the same level of the Epstein network and nothing's being done about that. In the same level that our country's being infiltrated, is something being done about that? Again, are we going to get the OJ trial while we're all locked in our homes and able to watch it? With the country on the line, will the rule of law stand? If somebody is found to have created evidence, I hope they're going to jail. It should be illegal. In the same way, to hold back exculpatory evidence should be illegal. Those people should be going to jail. Remember that everything that you wish for these people who are doing this, you're wishing upon yourself, because there could be a time when all of this flips. Somebody wins. And now your liberty and your truth and your justice and your life as who you are is now deemed illegal by somebody who doesn't agree with you politically. And they will come after you. They're telling you they're doing it now, and they're calling it contract tracing or contact tracing. We're doing this for your own good. We're getting rid of you and your liberty for our own good here in what used to be America. Sorry. You should have voted. You should have bought more guns. You should have trained harder. Because what's coming for not America, folks, is not good. Not good for any of us. Just good for them. If you're on that side of the table that's sold out your values. Everything that we learn in this trial, every person who is illegally unmasked, every person who was blackmailed, every person who had an assassination attempt against them is going to expose a new level of a corrupt onion. And it all comes with a cost. Because along with every one of these little drops are going to be all of these side stories that have further people divided. And so we may do everything in our power to get America back, but there's going to be a segment of society who's so twisted away from just the simple truths of what it's like to be here that they're going to be screaming about whatever they were going to be screaming about anyways. Or they're still going to believe that this whole thing was a Putin operation. Despite all of the evidence, despite all of the people who knowingly lied, despite all the people who knowingly leaked information. And Donald Trump leaks information. And sometimes he leaks the truth, and sometimes he leaks a lie. Sometimes he knows how the media is going to handle his stuff, and he needs to get them to a position, so he salts them with a couple stories. So by the time they double down on their double down, they've arrived at a nonsensical place, and then he hits them with a fucking right out of nowhere. He can do that because he survived this political assassination for 3.5 years. And now he's in charge. And so we're either going to go through the rule of law and keep America first. Nationalism is running wild like Hulkamania throughout the world. So is populism. And that's where we're at. And that's what we have. And that's where we're going. And that every country is going to go this isolationist route. We're going to bring all manufacturing here. And if you are an enemy of the United States, we're going to starve you out. And if you were inside of the network that allowed that for the infiltration, well, then we have something coming. So now they know. Now they know that Rick Grinnell is bringing documents. We're going to know what was on the audio tape. We're going to know what's on the transcript. We're going to know who changed the transcript. We're going to know who they did it. We have all the text. We have all the emails. You have every bit of it. And it's not going to be free. Because the more you learn about the depravity, the more inclined the rats are going to be to do anything to stay alive. This really is a fight for the survival of this country. It's an opportunity to see it for the swirling whirlwind that it is. If I wanted to sit here and watch my incenses burn, and watch the smoke interweave and make pictures and call it a reality, I could, and it would be just as real as Brian Stelter talking about anything. But if I infuse the information, if I infuse my day with order, that we will be loved in as much as we love, we will be listened to in as much as we listen, that we should listen before we speak, that we have the right to remain silent. I only ask that you let me not ask. How about that? Remember, we have to treat others the way we want to be treated. So I make no demands of myself, so I make no demands of you. No one's forcing you to embrace simplicity, to embrace your faith, to embrace America. Sure, it's an invite and it's there for you. If you want it, God bless you. Come on board. Get a fucking oar and start rowing. And if you're anything other than that, you're going to be seen through the lens of not being a product of creation, but being a consequence of creation. What do you think the COVID-19 through the next 50 of them, are those products of creation? Or are those consequences of creation? Is it the work of a demonic population who has anti-human ideas in mind? Seemingly, because every answer to what is brought forth in the name of fear is just more control. For us to give that control back to them, for us to give our freedom to them. We do it by complying to nonsensical orders, like not being able to go to a family with a park with your family, as you describe your family, not as the documents in your pocket describe your family. Who are they to be asking for your paperwork anyways? In the same way they tried to sell global warming, the fear of future carbon abuse to carbon-based beings based on the activities of other carbon-based beings, you now have human beings who have a temperature beyond their control. And now, based on the temperature that you take without us asking, you get to designate us into categories. And we're allowing that to happen. And why? Because it's good for not America. It's a consequence of creation. It is not a product of creation. It's a product of the creation of the Communist Party here in the United States of America. And now we know who works for who and why they do, and how much money they've already taken. And we're going to find out how high this goes all the way up to the top, and what's going to happen once that's found out. If the answer for treason really is execution, if it really is hanging, okay, well then fucking pick which lawn we're going to do it on. And if you want to ask questions before it, maybe we'll do it. Is it going to be a fucking Zoom hanging? Or is it not going to get to that point? Are you going to have a conspiracy complicit net of 50 to 60 to 1,200 to 100,000 people working for one operation, and only 2 people are going to go to jail over it? And they're going to let those same people walk the same way they let the Epstein network walk? The same way they let the news leakers walk? The people creating fake news just to create fake news, and they call it real news. At least when I fucking create fake news, I'm telling you that it's fake. I'm making it up as I go. They're not. They're calling it the truth. As they snip off sound bites, as they use gotcha questions, as they front load their questions with language that even to answer the question is to enter into the absurd construct that they're putting together. Whether that's somebody using politics and using language to linguistically trap you into a position that doesn't exist, or you agreeing that this 2-week temperature bullshit is real enough for you to put a mask on and fear your neighbor, or to believe that there's some kind of altruistic thing in going door to door and asking for people's temperatures. In what fucking America? JohnToll.net, rockfin.com/JT. There's going to be video coming to the Soundstooth app, so you're going to be able to get all of this stuff, all of the content that we're doing here. My merch stores, weaponsgradefaith.com, powered by the dudes at Cold Cuts merch. If you want to get a hat, if you want to get a hoodie, I've got stuff at my own Weapons Grade Faith. I've got a, what's that one? I got a Shopify store, and I got a Big Cartel. So if you want to send my fat ass to the post office, then order something, and I'll throw a label on it. I love getting mail, and I love sending mail. Shout out to my buddy Kyle at Even Keel Tattoo in San Diego. He had check this out. Da-da. Just the way this goes. Thank you. And that is going up in the new studio, and also they sent me these. Send some mail. Get some mail. Support the show. Thanks for listening. We keep our rights first and our ability to share our faith. And in that simplicity of the order of faith, family, work, the order of pray, hope, and don't worry, the order of listening and then speaking, of knocking and then answering, of your right to remain silent, tantamount before every other right, and your choice to comply or not to comply with the culture as it changes around you. Whether it's you have to have a mask on, or you have to have that head covering on, or you're not allowed to wear anything anymore, this color is banned, whatever the fuck new thing is. Again, every time they create a fear, they create a reason to take something from you if you choose to give it away. Simply put. And in the simplicity of keeping faith first is the acceptance that what's happening around you is supposed to be happening around you. And this is an opportunity. And that everything is an opportunity to be the best American and the best person with the best amount of passion and the best amount of love for others. For the best America that we've always deserved and will fight to keep. And it's not going to be free. JohnToll.net. Check out Even Keel Tattoo, Kyle Walker Tattoo on Instagram if you want to. I believe he's still doing the posters, and there's two different prints, and they're dope. So go get it. And that's it. Is there anything else that's left? No.